Hello guys, today we're going to be reviewing SUNE, the number 2 top gainer of the intraday session of the Monday session for 6/8/26. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, SUNE, number 2 on the top gainers list. On the day, we moved up 420% close, okay? Even more money to be made within that play. Maybe not as much, but I mean, there's still a ton of money to be made within this play. Ton of money to be made in this play. Retirement fund kind of stuff. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. SUNE, as usual, we're going to start with a daily time frame, a bigger time frame. Even though the play already happened, we always kind of want to have a big time frame just to see our previous action, to see what has happened in the past couple months, how the stock has been acting. So we start with the big time frame, and the first thing we look at before even looking at the chart is we're going to go ahead and look at these internals. Okay, look at these internals, and we're going to be looking for news. Okay, internals. Okay, currently at a 588, but to start the day, we were at, let's see, to start the day we were at $1. Okay, so 5 times lower than this. So we were at about, whatever 16 divided by fucking 5 is. Probably about $3 million company and a 2.73 million float. Okay, so another very small company. And I think we're kind of developing a pattern here. Don't you guys see a pattern? Small company, small float, probably good news. But even if not great news, we have 320 million volume traded on the day. Okay, so 2.73 million. Okay, let's just round up to 3 million. Okay, so we traded about 100 times our entire float. If that doesn't tell you that there's participation, stop trading stocks, please. Okay, especially since we go from 81K in a whole day, 16-hour trading session, we only trade 81,000 shares. Okay, to 320 million. Okay, this is what we're looking at. Let's see the news. Okay, 14 hours ago, 16 hours ago, we have some very good news. Okay, investigating. Oh, very good news. Let's see what the news is. It represents a premium of about 100% over SUN's recent closing price. So let's see the first thing that we get is this stock alert. Halper Sadi LLC is investigating whether Sun Nation Energy is obtaining a fair price for its shareholders. Failing to obtain the best possible price for Sunshine, collecting a fair sales process fee of any conflicts of interest, disclose all material information for Sun shareholders. Okay, now this is interesting. Now we can understand this idea. Obtaining a fair share price. Very interesting. So, actually, that's not even the fucking news anyone cared about. This is the news people cared about right here. Sun Nation and SunVia definitive merger agreement, creating a platform for American solar manufacturing and services leadership. Okay, so a definitive merger agreement. So we're merging our companies. Okay, this shows activity of a company. This shows implied approximately 226 per share. To own equity of applied approximately 220. Oh. So in this merger, this is saying that the stockholders are expected to own equity with an implied value of approximately $2.26 per share. Very interesting. Okay. Leading provider of residential commercial solar energy systems, battery engineer, pursuant to the SunVia merge, the wholly owned subsidiary of Sun Nation. The combined company is expected to operate under the SunVia name, continue Sun Nation's listing, merger agreement. Upon closing, pre-merger Sun Nation stockholders are expected to own equity with an implied value of approximately $2.26 per share. So we merge these companies, and now the stockholders get the value of this merger at about $2.26 per share. And when we opened today, we were at 127. So immediately artificial rise of the price. Okay, not artificial, but a merger created this ignition, created this spark, created what we needed. And we see actually that we were able to move 80% in 2 days. We're able to move 37% plus, so we go from another $1 to $3. So we have in the past, and very recently actually, only a couple months ago, have had big moves for this company. This company has been known to move. It's a small company, very good news, especially when you get the private placement idea as well. Not only do you get this merger, but you also get a private placement, meaning people are going to shove money into the company. Raise $2.7 million via a private stock offering. This is amazing. What do you call it? A $3 million company raising $2.7 million. There's no wonder this thing moved up so much money, okay? If I had a $3 million company and someone gave me $3 million, I just immediately doubled my company size in a day, okay? And that shows everyone else who's a shareholder of my company that we are being invested into, okay? People want to be invested into this company, okay? At least for the moment, okay? What kind of company is it? It's electric utilities and IPPs, okay? So sustainable solar energy and backup power solutions for households, businesses, and municipalities, whatever. How many houses are in the world? Is this a big market? I think so, okay? I think so. I think so. I think it's a pretty big fucking market, okay? Don't mean to be aggressive, but I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. That's my mood right now. Okay, let's check this out on the hour chart. Okay, let's start with the hour chart. Okay, on the hour chart, we have the same ideas as every other stock. Okay, break out, test your high, make a new high, come back to test this high at 186, come down to 186. Oh my God, hit with volume, and then you're gone. Okay, from here, you're gonna retest at 243. You never get that. You kind of sell back down, but the micro levels are gonna show you a little bit more, but the same idea. Boom, ignition, 73% on 2.2 million shares. Okay, so we rotated our entire float basically, and we moved up 73%. Not our entire float, we rotated 60% of our float and moved up 73%. Okay, our next hour, remember this is 7 a.m. in the morning. Our next hour, 31 million shares at 46%. So not only do we 15x our previous volume, which already gave us 73%, but we move up another 46%. Okay, this is very interesting to look at. Okay, now we're going to want to be testing our high on a longer time frame, these longer chunks. We come down, so we lose our volume when we're trying to break here. Okay, now we come back down to make this new low, push down again to make this new low, retest this low at 213 with 11 million share volume. Okay, so that means if with 11 million shares, after all this selling, everyone should still be very stable in these levels. You know, even from here to trade 48 million shares and only move down 10% is a very big inkling of idea that we're still to a degree stable. We're in a selling phase, but we're still to a degree stable because we're trading 48 million fucking shares. You know, like there's not 48 million shares getting sold immediately. It's 48 million shares getting rotated through, getting consolidated, getting pushed through, going to retest the high, finding a structural confirmation, and figuring out where it wants to be and what's most lucrative, what's most opportunistic. Okay, that's your idea. And then you push hard, 129% in an hour. Then you go from 526 to almost another 100% in this hour. And then after trading 61 million shares and after being up 400%, you're probably not going to move much more from that if you don't have a structural confirmation continuation. Okay, let's go to a 1 minute chart, something that we are going to be watching, something we're going to be looking at throughout the days, the 1 minute charts. Okay, so here's what we're going to get for pre-market. Pre-market comes in, this, boom, out of nowhere. Okay, so you're checking your pre-market stuff every 10 minutes or so, every 30 minutes. So even after 30 minutes, you get something looking like this. Okay, from 6:51 to about 7:21, we have something like this. Okay, so you push in hard, but you risk at 1-2, really the idea. Okay, but now you make this low. Okay, now you're gonna go retest your low. So now you have an idea of risk at 2-1. Okay, but 2-1 with good amount of volume, 340k, but not but you're still already up 99%. This is your idea. Okay, so you push back. So really we're testing this low, we make this low, but we push back, trying to touch here again, push to this volume again, still having heavy volume, still showing participation, but then it's like all these people who bought in here, like you're just a little bit early. Okay, so we come here to test this and we never really get to break out, we never really get any outstanding volume, and our confirmation volume and our confirmation direction actually is negative, so we get a negative confirmation direction from this continuation, right? So even if you're risking 2-1, it's like, look, like you get this high, you want to retest at 2-1, you retest at 2-1, you fill in with like avid volume, but you don't really get a break. You push back up a little higher. Now you're risking in at 219. It pushes down towards 219, and then you're thinking to yourself, okay, now we're going to retest this low, and then we push back down past through. Okay, so this whole idea is that you make a high, and then you test the high. And if you can't test the high and hold it and go higher, then you're going to have to go down, right? Especially if you don't trade the appropriate amount of volume, the appropriate volume in the right direction. So you make this low, you make another low. Okay, now your low from here is at 167. Okay, 167, 170, that average idea. Let's see if 167, 170 gets tested. Okay, so boom, we make a new low. Now the idea is still actually from here was your idea at 2.3, doesn't even need to be tested, pushes down immediately with a hard 791,000 shares. Okay, and this is in 1 minute. Okay, 800,000 shares in 1 minute on a 2.73 million float. Okay, so that means almost 33% of your float just moved down 14%. Okay, so we push back again, That's actually, that was, okay, that was 71. Now this is 496,000. Okay, now boom. Now we come in here with a 364,000 lift back up. Okay, so we rotated out with a good amount of our volume, and now we're still rotating in slowly but surely. 10%, about even a little more than 10% in 1 minute leads to us to rotate our entire float in about 10 minutes. Okay, and on a 16-hour trading day, or let's say even a 9-hour session, the average from like pre-market and intraday, like the most liquidity you could probably have, you could say that you're going to rotate, if once every 10 minutes, then 6 times every hour, then 6 times 9, 54 times. So you're on pace to rotate a very large amount of volume. And actually, we get to see we ended up rotating about 100 million volume. Okay, so if it's 6 times an hour, 6 times 16, almost gets you to 100x. See, this is how this float math works out. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, are we participatory? How much volume are we trading? And we've seen that in the 1 minute chart, if you can trade up to 10 to 20 to 5 even percent of your flow every 1 minute and have structural confirmation, you're going to have a very good potential for continuous movement, especially if the structure works out. Okay, now from here, what do we see? Okay, so we come back and retest this low, and actually when we retest this low, we completely break past 160 and even break past 170. We get past here to 187. Okay, now to retest at 176 from where you broke out, we get the close of here, come back here, and we push up from it with advancing volume, 276,000. We're still very early. It's still 7:03 in the morning. People want to be in there around intraday and where the volume is really going to hit. Okay, but even from here, entry at 174. From here, we're going to come and test our lows, push down. Now you get your directional confirmation of 242,000 shares. Maybe not the best directional confirmation, though we still get, not even really a confirmation actually, just still like kind of like floating within that zone and protecting that zone and defending it, and then retesting this low right here. Now you have the risk at 181, push to 181. It kind of takes, and then it takes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to break through. We do break through though, okay, and we're losing our volume. We step back in with a little bit of buy volume. We're still kind of dilly down around. So we never get to make a true new low, and then we get to break out past our previous high. So now we have risk at 191. 191 kind of comes back and gets touched, and then you have your another, like look at this, how this volume works. Like we go from 75K from here, okay, to 268,000, okay? Big difference. 76K to 268K, okay? We trade 200,000 more fucking volume, and you move up 3%, and now you have a risk at 186. Okay, and 186 gets immediately captured. Okay, people love it. Now 383% for 5%, 383,000 for 5% price increase. Okay, what we're seeing on the 1 minute is a 10% float rotation for 5% price increase. Okay, and we're still kind of up from, remember, we're still up from 122. Okay, but the 122 we're up from is only 151,000 shares, right? And they all kind of got in at the same exact time, or around in the same minute. So when they come back down to here and to reset at 1.6, from how many people are in at 1.5 to 1.2, right? Probably not as many as you fucking think, right? And can we rotate into that and evenly? So from this position, from 702 to 714, we average as about probably about 161,000, 150,000 shares per minute, and over 10 to 20 minutes, you're gonna trade eventually your entire float and reset at that level. Okay, that's the idea, and then you get your confirmation with this breakout volume. You get your retest of your high. Now you get another additional confirmation. Okay, now your idea is to risk off 2-1. Okay, or even pretty much actually from your 19 range. You still want to test your 19 range. You test, actually come to your 19 range, right? My apologies. You don't buy your breakout. You buy that retest of the high. Push back down, and now after this, so we get here, we lose our volume a little bit. We can't get past. We can't retest this new low. Make a new low. Now looking to retest this low, and we push back to this previous low at 1.23. We settle in with our 305,000 volume. Push back up with 209,000, or stay really within that range. Now you have a good risk around 285 or so. 285 gets accepted. Okay, now you have risk at what do you call it? 2-1. And look how we're slowly stair stepping. 5% compression, 5%, 5% compression, retest, 5% compression. We're not going 90% and then staying and then going. You know, it's like if you did that, you would need to rotate a really hard amount of volume. And as we're loading in, as we're going in into these breakouts, we're trading more volume. 400K, 700K. 1.1 million. Retest your previous high. Break through that previous high, because you got to kind of have a test here. Come back down. Accept that right there. Push up, and we're still very early. And now we're trading about 1 million every minute. You know, it can get really crowded here in these ideas. So 1 million every minute, and from where people really wanted to be at 1.8 to 2.5, we're up 33%. Okay, so it's beautiful. So we're gonna have a little bit of selling activity. We push down, selling activity comes in. Now to retest this 2-2 right here, make a new low, retest that 2 low, and completely smash through that level. So now your idea is risk at 2-4 coming through. 2-4 gets held beautifully, and then you get your directional position. Now the idea of 2-4 to be risked again. Okay, does 2-4 ever get touched? Does it ever get touched again? Boom! Look at this idea. Look at this idea. 2-4 ends up being pretty much your staple idea. We do dip to about 2-1 from here, making this new low, pushing up, coming through. But 2-4 in this idea, like you get to 2-4, you're thinking to yourself, you see this, and then you see this. You're like, okay, now I want to be in at around 2-4 to 2-4-0, okay? You don't get that. You get that immediate break immediately. And on the 15-second chart, it'll be a little bit. You'll see these levels a little bit cleaner, though. That immediate break is huge confirmation. Now you have an idea at 260, technically an idea at 290, and then 290 gets broken through, okay, and then we get this new low, and we peak with volume here at 1.7 million, okay. So we go from 200K to 1 million to 1.7 million to 900K, okay. And so we make this low. Now we're going to test this low with less volume than we had previously. Okay, so we're going to push back down through this low, make a new low, test this low again, confirm up, but don't break out. Don't get your complete confirmation. Now everyone wants to risk at 290. Okay, 290 gets accepted actually. Push, and then accepted. Now everyone wants to risk at 3.0. 3.0 comes through and gets completely rejected. Okay, 3.0 ends up being your height the entire time. 3.0 ends up being this rejection place the entire time. But from here, 3.0, you're not going to see that. You're going to see this. You're going to see it like this. Okay, so 3.0 gets foiled through. Now you push up with 300K, 400K, trying to push up through here, testing these previous lows, breaking this low, and then coming back immediately to push back down with directional, losing your volume the entire way through, actually coming here, breaking out on 198K, but really a breakout or is just a retest of your low, get that confirmation, and then kind of just sidesteps the entire time as it slowly loses volume, slowly can't really push past this big movement. And from this low, from this first movement, that's 82%. You could have walked in at 715 and left at 753 and made $84,000, you know, like you could have made insane amounts of money. Like if you could have traded 1% of your flow, so 2.73 million shares, you could trade 27,000 shares and you could have bought at 1.7. Let's see, 27 times 1.7, so $45,000 position times 0.82. So you could have made $37,000 in 15 minutes, or 7:15 to 7:54, so about 30 minutes, okay, 40 minutes. Actually, probably not going to eat an apple while we do this breakdown. It'd be pretty annoying. And then you could have been done for the day, you know what I'm saying? Especially as you get the structural confirmation, you push the high, retest your previous high, push to a new high, retest, and then come in with hard volume, push again, come to retest, and never really get this retest at 2.5 really. But you also broke from here, so really, I don't know, on micro levels will probably show you a little bit more, but still the same idea of like you never really get the retest. So you're a little bit out in the open, a little bit exposed, and then you're also trading insane amounts of volume on this 1 minute channel. And are you going to be able to trade more volume than that? It doesn't truly matter unless you have. It does matter a lot. It does matter if you have. If you have the right structure, you can kind of do it. But the whole main basis of this program is the idea of retest, more volume, retest, more volume. Okay, and so you don't get that more volume from 3.4. Actually, you kind of do. Actually, this is very funny. You come to retest this low, grab it, directional, retest that from 2.9. So 2.9, because people are playing these mini plays as well. You got to remember, like playing from 2.9 to 3.4, even this is 22%. Okay, you make 22% on $1,000. You just made $200 in 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. You make $200 in 4 minutes. Yeah, I know people who won't make $200 in a week. Okay, let's be honest. Okay. So what we end up getting is something like this. We get a huge push, swarm down to a low, try to push higher than this low, testing, losing your volume. You see how our volume is slowly getting ripped down. Okay, so now you have this presentation at 2.6 as your previous low. You push down, break that low that was at 2.3 now. So you make this low at 2.3, push down to a new low, retest this low at 2.3, and when you're retesting this low at 2.3, you're also retesting this high. So you're coming here at 2.2, risking to 2.2. 2.2 is very thin level, and the beauty of thin levels is that when you thin out, there's less of a reason for them to dramatically rip price down if structure can continue and conform, right? So what we really see is a hard, stable position. So we make, we call it, make a high. Now testing this high from this previous low, and actually the only time, well, not the only time, but when we're breaking here, the difference between, what's the difference between this breakout, right? This movement here, where we go from trading just 62K a couple minutes ago to trading 840K and a 1.2 million. What's the difference between this and then this, right? Going from 840K, but going from 400K, 200K to 800K and only up 3%, and then selling back down. Well, we have all this context before us. Everyone's in at this level. Everyone's very crowded. They're pushing back through. We have all these sellers and all these people who got trapped in from earlier. So we have a lot more weight on the stock than we had before. But then once we get this clear out, and then once you get this pushback from this continuation, and now we really get this emptiness right here, we can start looking for a pushback up. And a break of 2.5 would just be absolutely brutal for the entirety of the market. And so break of 2.5 actually does come and happen. So we get this break at 2.5. So boom, we get this, boom. And the idea behind this is break of this, risk at 2.4. 2.4 comes through, kind of gets accepted, or it doesn't exactly go exactly to 2.4, but it does come down, and then it boom, you immediately get your confirmation. So from here, you can buy in at 2.6 and risk 2.5, okay? Knowing that if you trade exorbitant amounts of money, this thing can move very religiously, okay? So we know that this thing can move, and then what happens here is we go from 849 to 849. It's not like we go from 849 to 200K. We go from 849 to 849 and percent increase. That means people are rotating in. 849,000 in 1 minute is just insane amounts of volume for 1 minute. You know, if 849K is about still 33%, you're gonna rotate your flow every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, you know. So we have active, insane participation, and it's not so crazy to where you give away. This is only a 7% candle, you know. Only a 7% candle, so we're still slowly chopping away, okay? So now we get this hard break again. I guarantee you on the micro levels, we kind of slowly retest, but we might not even have to because we're just expanding with huge fucking volume. So we get this break, okay? Huge volume all the way up, volume to this place. Now people are thinking, okay, 4.7 will be your risk unless it gets tested through. So 4.7 gets tested through. So now we're looking at risk at 3.3. Okay, 3.3 doesn't get touched. It goes back down to here. Now we push back up here. Now your ID is at 4.1. Okay, 4.1 gets touched. And then when we come into here, now we have this hard push in this volume. This is always going to be the same structure. It's going to be a cool off, then it's going to be a push. Right? We go from 500K volume to 1.7 million volume. Okay, now you can easily enter knowing that you're pretty safe in this position, knowing that you have 4.5, 4.6 as an idea. And you still have plenty of time to wait to see if 4.5 is even a good position, because then you get this boom, this click. You go from 4.540 to 1 million. Okay, is that a confirmation of rotational volume? Yes, it is. And then you push in with another push. Okay, now retest this high, pushing in again, and then look, we go from 1.4, 1.5, and then 2.6, and then we have 1.6, 1.4, 1.8, 1.1, 1.0, right? Slowly, we're trying to make this low, break the low immediately. Try to make a new low, can't do it. Hold with more volume, compress hard, pick a direction. Now risk at 6.6, buying in at 7.2 on the top. Risk at 6.6 is even in that bad. 6.8, buying at 7.2, looking to make 10, 20, 30%. But then that ends up being the end of your play, okay? And the realistic beauty of this idea is that the whole idea is that you make this high, and you go to retest your high. You try to break it, you can't. Now you come back down and break this high, break this level. Okay, retest your low, push down hard again. Okay, settle through, and now expansive low volume. Okay, try to break this low again. We do kind of get past this low, but we can't trade more than we had before. Okay, now we push down again. Okay, coming through, push down again. Coming through, try to retest this low, and push down again. And slowly it's going to do this until we find another equilibrium point, and actually it ends up being right here, that we can thin out enough to where go from 450 to 6.8. Okay, 450 to 6.8. So make this low, test the low, make a low, test the low, push back up hard, but reenact with new selling volume and hard selling volume. Now you have this low here at 1.7, push back again. Now you have this new low at 6, push past this low at 6, and then but we can't get past this low. It's here, right? So entry, even, and then when you get this break here, you still want to risk at 6-4, right? And 6-4 comes through and you don't get that positive movement forward, and then you get to break your actually highs and you really get to rip through and destroy everyone. So that comes down, and now you have a new low at 5-5, risking, and now you're going to come back and test your low, but new low at 5-5, come back through, test your low, push back up hard from here actually. So this shows that we have a lot of activity still, even from here, risk at 613, now people want to see, and then it just gets dipped down again, and you're still trading less volume, still less volume than your big movement from previous. So push down hard again, new low, now looking to retest this previous low, okay, from where you were. So retest this low, but we don't have really any volume at all. So, but also we're not really dipping and making a new low either. We're not having expansive sell volume. As we make new and newer and newer lows, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to go lower and lower and lower, okay? Especially as short sellers who bought at the top try to cover their buys, especially as new buyers see these discounts and want to fill in, especially as the market gets tired and they don't want to trade as much, as all the shares already did their job. Everyone kind of systematically got in a position where they made a little bit of money or lost a little bit of money, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. So everyone's trying to find this equilibrium, okay? So we have this low here. We try to test it. We push hard a little bit, but not enough to really do anything major. Settle down, come through, and now we make this new low again. And now we break this low from here at 7%, okay? And then we linger around, and we can't make a new low. But then we get this rise out of nowhere. So we go from trading 2K a minute to trading 99K to trading 81K. That's your big differential, like even from 26 to 97, but then you have all these levels behind you as well, right? From here though, 2K a minute, you don't really have as many levels behind you. You're trading 2K a minute and you're stable. And now you go to trade 15K, and now you can look at an idea for risking at 4.6, okay? 4.6, and then if you break off immediately, so now 4.8, okay? So 4.8 after this break, you push up here, now you're looking at 4.9. 4.9 gets held and confirmed at 5 here. So now you want to re-enter at 5.1. 5.1, you can kind of pretty much grab from here. You get this directionality to push up, slowly moving in, kind of creating a little, can't really break from here, pushing back down, thinning out, and now coming back with more buy volume. Now you can have risk at 5.6. 5.6 gets accepted, pushed into hard here, and then from here you have your high at 6.6, even your high at 6.3 gets immediately rejected with the equal to selling volume, and you go from 50K to 116 to 111 to 78, okay? So immediately losing your volume, pushing back down, and then now you're heading towards creating a new low. So on the grand scheme, you have something like this. The 10-minute chart is beautiful because it gives you a lot of time, like you gotta realize like 15%, 14%, 8%, 13%, and then it chill out and then it calm down. Like it looks a lot easier to read than the other charts, though again, you can miss opportunity if you're not reading it in the way you're supposed to, right? So push down, now you get your clear out, and now you get your explosive volume, you get your push, and now you get your reaction with volume. Everyone wanted to be in there, everyone wanted to be in there, everyone wanted to be there, everyone wanted to be there. Now you get your sell volume, you get your retest of your highs, you push back down, try to retest your low, push back up, but you don't have enough volume to push back from previous. Intraday starts, everyone wants a better discount, everyone kind of fades out, shells it, retesting these lows, push a new low, try to retest, clearing out the volume, retest hard with this 6 right here. Now everyone wants to be here, everyone wants to be here, everyone wants to be here. Retest this 5. Everyone wants to be here. Everyone wants to be here. Retest your highs. Come back down. 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 Retest your lows and then push back down to this way. Okay, so this is beautiful. This is a very beautiful idea, and we can even be thinking about 4.7 as an idea into pre-market. I'm not exactly sure how much more this is going to move the next day. We could do some more data tracking to understand this, but this is the concept of this play right here. To get 400%, you don't have to always catch these 400%, but you can catch this 161. You can catch this 64%, even as a short seller, you can catch this 52%, even from, around this level here to 30% there. Just understand though, on the hour, even on the 2 hour, like, look, we go 154% and then we only lose 24%, right? So, oops, sorry. So we held more than 50% of our gains, right? So 154%. Now back down to 81%. So we held 50% of our gains, okay? And now we've cleared out a level. Everyone rotated out. Everyone rotated here. 21 million shares in 2 hours. 8% differential, okay? You're very safe in this position. knowing that you're probably going to trade a lot more volume and there's a lot more opportunity coming through. Like, we just know these things from previous and from just how structure works, okay? Just how we know that we're gonna make a higher, we're gonna retest, we're gonna make a lower retest, and if we can push past our low, we have clear level volume, we've thinned out, we just proved that we can move 154% ridiculously fast. We're a very small company still. We have amazing news on the day. This is the thing that you gotta understand. These structural confirmation, these continuations are gonna get you into the best ideas. It's always gonna be the internals of the company, then we're checking news, and then we're checking structure, okay? 1, 2, 3, easy checklist, okay? This is my breakdown of SUNE. 320 million volume on the day, super small company, amazing news for the day, 2 giant pushes. You have tons of time to get in. Don't rush things, okay? Make sure you know what you're looking at. Make sure you have the right ideas. Make sure the volume is in your side. Make sure the structure is on your side. Make sure you have a good risk idea. Make sure you have a valid idea of what continuation is supposed to look like, and then just make sure you're having fun and make sure that you know that then it's going to be death by 1,000 trades, right? You're going to make 1,000 trades from this point forward, and those are going to be the things that build your account, okay? You're not going to get to $1 million in a day. This is going to be the stuff you're looking for, okay? Beautiful trade, you know. Small accounts, you're going to love this stuff. You're going to absolutely fucking love this stuff. I promise. This stuff is going to be your bread and butter. This stuff is going to get you out of the hood. It's going to make you millions. Like, this is the stuff that you need to be trading, you need to be looking at. This is my breakdown of SUNE. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. Hope you can take this forward with your trading, and hopefully you can do good for yourself. I want you guys to do good for yourselves. Thank you for watching this video.